I am Lene Javette, one of your hostesses. I'm also joined by Keisha at We Inspire Brand, Faye Bishop at Miss Faye Bishop, and Teddy Ewing at The Real Teddy Talks. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock p.m. on a variety of different channels and stations on Facebook and YouTube. For the next hour, you will get all this melanin. We will be airing out conversation. Today, we're talking about the Black community. Does the Black community have as much power as the LGBTQ community? Why or why not? As we were posing this question, Teddy came back and said, maybe we should change it. Maybe it's not, does the Black community have as much power as the LGBTQ community, but do we use our power as effectively and efficiently as the LGBTQ community? So that's the conversation that we're going to be having today. Please, 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 please dial in. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. All right. You give us the answer. Also, share this post, share this video, like it, thumbs up it, comment as we get into this conversation. So, I was not the one who started this dialogue. So, whenever I don't start the dialogue, I like to pass it on to somebody else so that they can lead us into the conversation. And I believe this one was presented to the group by Faye, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Keisha, actually.
Ah, it
Keisha
was Keisha.
suggested it.
Okay. Okay.
Wasn't me this week.
It was
I know. So we have a behind the scenes chat for those of you guys who maybe this is your first time joining us. We have a behind the scenes chat, and we throw out topics and we throw out conversations, and we kind of have them behind the scenes before we even bring them to you guys, so that we can kind of fill it out. And so this conversation started from the Dave Chappelle situation, and it morphed into what I feel is people are getting stuck on whether or not he was offensive to someone instead of the actual conversation, which is this community, this LGBTQ community has a lot of power. And they move a particular kind of way. And they move collectively and they use that power to make things happen. Um, Dave Chappelle made the point that when he uses the N word, nothing happens. He made the point that when Little Baby, I believe it was, killed somebody, nothing happened. And so the conversation we want to have today is how can or do we as Black people have that same collective power as the LGBTQ community to make things happen? When will or why won't or should we or how do we stand up and say, hey, we don't want to be portrayed this way in movies? Um, we want to support Monique with Netflix for not being paid the same amount of money. The conversation is about the disparities between how this community moves and how our community moves, and what can we do about it? Is that kind of
I
where
want
we?
to piggyback on that as well. I also wanted to say that, so as Lene said, this kind of stems from the Dave Chappelle incident, but more so with Netflix. There was a walkout today of a lot of their employees, the LGBTQT employees and their supporters staged a walkout because they didn't want Netflix to continue down the road of disparaging images of transgender and LGBTQT all in all. And the CEO came out and basically said, I'm sorry that they feel this way. So he acknowledged their feelings. I don't know what else came from that, but I don't know if the word is impressed. I liked how they all collectively did that. They've been talking about it. I think the main organizer that was a Netflix employee got fired last week, but they all still collectively did their thing. And this isn't the first community to do that. I don't want to be picking on the LGBTQT community for all of their collaboration, but this has happened in the Asian community. This has happened during, I would say white women's rights, but during women's rights movement, this has happened a lot, right? And another layer to this is the Black community that is within some of these communities are being co-opted into these movements, right? So we still aren't getting our needs addressed. However, we're helping these other movements address their needs. And then when you're like, what about me, the other side of me, right? My race, my color, my ethnicity, then it's like, yeah, we'll get to you later, right? So yes, as Lene said, we do have as much power. We just don't know how to wield it. We don't know how to wield our power. And, as we go through this conversation, we're going to come up with some solutions and strategies to do that. But Yeah, that's where we're at. So ladies, what do you think? What do you think about our use of power collectively?
I think the issue within our community is that we don't understand that power and freedom, it comes at a price, right? So we see it as like, well, if we can continue to be comfortable as well as get that power, as well as get that freedom, then that's what we want. But that's just not how it works. You have to give up something in order to get what you ultimately want. It's like that saying where you have to sacrifice what you want now for what you want most, right? And I think the issue is that we've been placated, right? So we've been placated with like government assistance and with $1 million sports contracts and with these contracts within the music industry and things like that. So we just feel that like, well, we're getting this money and it's a comfortable space for us, even though it's not ultimately where we want to be. It's like, oh, but I'm comfortable and I don't want to give up that comfort to fight for that freedom and fight for that power.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One of the reasons that I feel that we fail to come together where it comes to these issues where we can basically move things in the direction, or should I say utilize our power to move things in the course of a direction where it betters our community, is because of lack of emotional intelligence. And the reason I say that is because we seem to only want to jump or move or do something whenever our white counterparts or other groups want to do something. And what usually has to happen first is that we have to be triggered by something. For an example, the Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, the police shootings, the us not being nominated for enough Emmys or Oscars. What else? There's so many other like layers to this, to where if it doesn't trigger us emotionally, we don't do anything about it. And we tend to only move only when, and I hate to say this word, like our white counterparts have a problem with it, which tends to only be aired out through media outlets. So in other words, we're not upset with police killing us every single day or trying to push for policy that pushes, reforms police departments across the country unless white mainstream media is advertising that a Black person got shot. Even now, their mainstream media is not covering a lot concerning the Black community, but last year they were. So since they have stopped doing that, we're not talking about anything. Honestly, notice how quiet everything has been since January. And I'm bringing up January for a reason, because that's when Joe Biden took oath to take the office as a president. After that, everything seemingly got quiet for the Black community, but it got louder for every other group. So they used us for what they needed us for, which were the things that triggered us emotionally, because they know that Black people are always triggered by race. We're always triggered by conversations where it surrounds equality. And then once they got that out the way and we got that conviction for George Floyd, everything seemed to simmer down. So now we're back at the back of the line behind everybody else when it comes to moving things. Like even with this Netflix situation, there was a walkout over Dave Chappelle over his comments made in his, stand up. But for whatever reason, if he had used the N-word instead of offending the LGBTQ, there probably would not have been a walkout. Monique felt, she was treated unfairly in terms of receiving compensation for her stand-up several years ago. And she openly asked everybody in the Black community to stand with her and boycott Netflix. Nobody wanted to do that. And there wasn't a single Netflix employee to walk out over her concerns. You know why? Because we weren't triggered enough. And I think that that's where things need to shift. We really need to get to a point to see that the integral part of maintaining and building our community and taking back our power and to thrive the way we need to is to understand where we're going to place our emotions and fight, because the LGBTQ, immigration, and other groups are constantly fighting, and they put their money behind their causes. We tend to have an issue with allocating our emotions here and putting our emotions behind that. R. Kelly, Shade Room, if they're not fighting for something, we don't want to do it. I'm serious. Like, if Shade Room or CNN or somebody isn't mentioning something, then for whatever reasons, it doesn't really ring a bell for us. And that kind of bothers me a lot.
Mhm.
Hey, I just want to say something really quick, not to take us away, but the Pioneer, this is live. This is not a recording. We are live today. So you're in the right place at the right time, because we are live. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? Sorry, I had to put that out there, because I know sometimes you guys watch the recordings, which we appreciate, but today you get us and we're live.
I did want to make one more comment, as Faye said, like when a very simple request, or it wasn't even an out loud request, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee against police killing of Black people. That is a problem that can be fixed. That is a problem that can be addressed. That's a problem that we can have tangible solutions. It doesn't require a whole lot. It's not the reparations discussion. It's not almost like equality. It's not this gray and yellow area. It's like it's black and white, literally, to come up with something to fix that problem. And we couldn't even take a knee with him. We couldn't even stop supporting the NFL or all sports for however long it took to do it. And we do have so much power. Some people say in the comments we don't. We do. We have more power, I would say, collectively, than any other race and ethnicity in America, for sure, because we spend so much money. It doesn't matter how much money we have in our savings account. It matters how much money we spend and put into the economy. So if we would have cut that off, if the players would have cut it off, 70% of the NFL is Black people. Okay, I'm not gonna say people of color, Black people. So it was an easy fix, and it still didn't happen. So I've seen some people say that we're not on. Go ahead, Faye.
No, I'm so sorry. One of the things that I feel also kind of put that conversation to sleep is when Jay-Z sat down with the with the NFL, excuse me, and negotiated this deal to be president of their entertainment. So once again,
why?
I have to say this, whenever Jay-Z and Hov and Beyonce, and this is not to attack them, God, it is not on everything, but it's kind of like whenever all it takes is one celebrity to get on board with something, especially if it's a liked celebrity. And here's where our emotions come into play, because if it were Kanye who did that, you wouldn't have stood for it. But because it was Jay-Z, someone that everybody likes, and the NFL knew what they were doing when they got him. Oh, that put the whole conversation about Colin Kaepernick to bed. Just as I feel if it were Angela Bassett instead of Monique, who said, boycott Netflix because of XYZ, I believe the Black community would have done it. But because it was Monique, and for whatever reasons, the Black community doesn't like her because she came after our beloved Lee Daniels and Oprah and Tyler Perry. Once again, this is where our emotions, they're not in check. We didn't stand with her. And we have to figure out, what are we doing? Because we're so emotional, and they use our emotions against us every single time.
And not only that, we also don't have an agenda. You have certain Black people that want one thing, and then another group of Black people that want another thing. And we have to come together and stop thinking as individuals. Like, we have to collaborate. We have to be on one accord. And I think that is why the LGBTQ community and the Asian community and the white women and all of these people, all of these groups, they can go forward because they're on one accord. They know what they want, and then they demand what they want, right? And I have to say, I respect the LGBTQ community, the trans community specifically, with this walkout. No, I do not agree with it, but I do respect it because they came together And not only are they protesting, but now they're demanding stuff. They're like, okay, well, we want you guys to hire more trans, and we want funding, and we want this. And I'm just like, oh snap, like what if we would have done that, right? Or what if we do that on one accord, not group this black group of people, this group of black people on one accord, we go, we protest, but now there's also those demands that we request, that we put in place.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about that community that where I think we can definitely learn something from. They put that community first. Whereas you got black, white, Mexican, Hispanic, green, purple, yellow, they put LGBTQ AIA first before anything else, and they get behind that and they support it.
Mm-hmm.
We in our community, we want to know who's the leader, who's driving, where are we going, why are we going there, when are we going to get there, who's going to do it, who's why, instead of just saying. And I saw the comment about there's no black agenda. I cannot honestly say what the LGBTQ, all the initials agenda is, other than respect, equality, like the base. They don't ask who's on first. They don't ask who's going to lead the movement. They say, hey, this is our community. You will respect us. You will have laws that protect us. You will give us the money. Like they demand those things. They don't ask for it, and they move together. In our community, we do not. Like we do not come together as a collective and demand the basics, the bare minimums, respect, equality, like the basic stuff. We're too worried about the specific details. Who's leading the movement? Where is the movement going? What is the full agenda? The top three things, and these are my opinion. Somebody else would come back with some different opinions. Probably reparations would be on that list. But equality, respect, and justice. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we just agree that we want them to stop killing us? We want to be equal, if not, supreme. But we'll take equal for now. And we should get the same respect that everybody else gets, right? And that's not saying that we want to have a seat at your table. That's just saying these are the bare minimum human rights, and then we can decide what the agenda is later. But we don't even move together in those simple things collectively.
Can I say something? So, a friend of mine, we went to college together. This is one of my, and I, this is one of my dear friends. I was talking to him about racism and prejudiceness, and he's black, and he is, and so he says, I said, I just want to share with you something. I said, if a black woman and a white woman was selling a car, the exact same car, the exact same mileage, everything is identical. I said, who would you buy that car from? And subconsciously, just very little effort, because he's talking to a friend. He says, I can't front. White folks take care of things. I said, that's prejudice right there. I said, you're prejudiced. You already have a negative thought process behind a black woman who has an identical slate as as the white woman. And so he says, I said, now, mind you, I want you to think of your mother. Has she taken care of every car that she's had? He said, yeah. I said, so why do you think the next black woman wouldn't? So basically what I'm trying to just highlight is the amount of work on the brain of our people is insane. This is why Harriet Tubman used to have to pull up on you with a gun. Harriet Tubman had to pull up on you with a gun because you was going to get her killed. That's why she had to pull up on you with a gun. You did not have the mental capacity to choose freedom over fear. Some of our folks, Lene, everybody, they ain't on this train, and they ain't never gonna be. So I would rather keep my gun in a holster and leave them behind, whether I allow one of them to get me killed. And we got to keep on understanding that some folks are going to get you killed over helping you get liberation, okay? And so I think that everybody in this country, like you said, has some kind of agenda. Well, when you have ripped your men apart, when you have ripped your women apart, your children, everybody is literally over here just survival of the fittest all the time. You literally, you don't have anywhere to go. So if you look through your Black family, every generation, somebody's starting over, right? So we literally have to start these movements in our family. The movement first starts at home. I can't go and get 100 folks if I can't gather 2 in my family.
Yes.
So we first, we have to become the president of the household, so that's one of the reasons that I think that we have to continue. And I can't wait, because at the All Black National Convention, I'm so happy to be amongst Black minds, people who literally say, be one. This is who I am first. People tell me, Chanel, you're gay, you've dated women, but I don't hear you talk about the issues of the LGBTQ community. I said, well, that's not my fight. I cannot go around talking about rights and issues that only I benefit from. If my grandmother don't benefit from it, my sister, my auntie, and my cousin, I can't get behind it right now. So if the benefit is for more folks than just myself, then that's the train that I'm on. That's what folks have to constantly do. When you talk about LGBTQ and you talk about sexuality and things like that, I always like to put this in the forefront and say, when I go and I interview for jobs, then nobody asks me who I was dating and if I was married and how many kids I got. Can you show up? Can you do the job? People don't look at me and start saying, oh, okay, she's gay, I have to treat her different. But what people like to do is they like to say, oh, she's Black. She a Black woman. She got the anger in her tone. She doesn't speak in a high-pitched tone. So before I'm hit with any level of prejudiceness, it comes from being Black over anything else. So like I said, I'm behind the movement that my grandmother and them will benefit from. I'm behind the movement that my aunties and uncles and cousins will benefit from. That's a no-brainer. Black LGBTQ people that feel some form of commitment to that community over their Black community, some kind of way, have been shunned and harmed to the point where I don't care about nobody else no more. This is my new family. And time out for that. Yeah. Everybody got to benefit, not just like me. That doesn't make sense.
You hit the nail on the head, Madam President. My phrase of the show, Melanated Air, is going to be, everybody can't come. Okay, everybody can't come because they can't. They will hold you down. They will hold you back. They will have you distracted. But the people who are ready to come, who are prepared to do the thing, we all need to come together. But you said it. If we can't even get our households together, if we can't move lockstep with the people in our household, in our circle, the people closest to us, how the heck how we gonna build a community? Like, we even say the Black community. What is that? Where is it? How many people in it? What is their agenda? We don't know.
Absolutely. We're divided. We're already divided within our community, is basically what you're saying. We need to come together and figure out what community is. What does that mean? So that we can actually make some collective moves to do other things. Because right now we're talking about the LGBTQ community relative to how they move, but it's bigger than that, right? It's how we come to the support of our celebrities. It's how we come to the support of our family. It's how we come to the support of Black-owned businesses. It's how we come to the support of Black women. It's how we come to the support of Black men. It's not just a singular movement. It's collective. Like, we need to be supporting and united in all things that are Black love, Black family, all of these things, because all of these things are the things that need to be stood up on. What you just said, Teddy, is super important. Everybody can't go, right? Some people are going to be left behind, right? So the people who are moving, we have to carry a heavier load, but we have to be prepared and ready to carry a heavier load. So that means if your brothers and sisters beside of you, if they don't stand up for Monique or whomever the next person is that needs supporting, you do. So we need to make sure that our voices are loud enough when these situations come up, and need vocalization and need support. Because I forget what we talked about this backstage. I don't know if we did it on the front, but we fizzle, right? So even the ones who are making the moves and standing up and talking, it fizzles. whether it fizzles because the next person got shot or the next situation comes up, because this we know this is a roller coaster. We know it's going to happen again, but a lot of times these things, they fizzle. So we have to stay um, 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 aggressive
Vigilant.
and
Yeah.
vigilant and fighting at all times. Like, we can't get lackadaisical. We can't stop. We can't slow down. We can't get lazy. We have to continue to fight. And I know it gets hard and it gets tiring to have to always beat in your chest and be one and be black and da, but we have to. Like, we literally have to.
Well, bootlickers gotta go. I'm sorry. It's time for bootlickers to go.
Yes.
We can't have Colin Kaepernick getting down on a knee, taking a stand for one thing, and then as soon as they're dangling a check in front of one of our favorite celebrities, he's coming in to basically drive a wedge between the fight, and meaning us on this side and white supremacy on the other side. That's not going to work. Like, for instance, what Kyrie Irving is doing. I think that that's a great fight. But then you got Stephen A. Smith on ESPN singing a completely different tune. And it's the same thing. And I'm so glad that Madam President, Queen Madam President, brought up the point about the fight, the revolution that we're looking for starting at home. I have said repeatedly on this broadcast and beyond that we cannot have a Black community without Black families. So these gender wars is also have to stop. You know, the effect of the back-to-back traumas of racism, you know, and then we have this pandemic that's also being exacerbated by racism is having such a tremendous effect on our community. And this is on top of everything else that's going on, such as the fights with Netflix, the inner fights with workplace equality and things like that. We're not eating well as a community. We're not sleeping well as a community. We can't focus. We're fighting each other. You know, there's these different voices all across the feeds that with blue checks that are singing different tunes. Nobody's on one accord. And unfortunately, I think it's led to a big part of why our emotions as a collective is so all over the place, because we're being driven by things like money. We're being driven by things like gossip and who we've developed these unhealthy attachments to these celebrities. I've said for many, many years, and I'll say it on this platform, you got to unfollow celebrities, especially bootlickers, because in order for us to get on one accord, we got to get rid of the ones that can't come. They have to go, because we're living through right now. If you look at everything, I mean, with this great reset, especially, we're living through history's largest, what I would feel, largest civil rights demonstration, because it's not just regarding race. It's regarding just having the basic right to work without being jabbed. So while we're experiencing this, it's coming with, like, I feel this heavy mental burden on all of us. And we need to really sit down and assess in our households so that it can extend beyond. Where is it we're trying to go? And what is it we're trying to get, where we're trying to go and how we're going to get there? Because without a real mission, it's just going to be the same thing for the next 10, 20, or 15 years. And our children, which is so unfortunate, is already feeling the effects of everything that's going on. Even the violence in so many cities, it's being committed by our kids. So it's like they're already feeling the effects of everything that's going on. So we really got to make some decisions. But I stand on what I said on this platform and beyond. The bootlickers got to go, because they're a big part of the problem, to me, in my opinion.
And we have to stop letting celebrities have a voice when it comes to real issues, unless they have been classically trained to speak on those issues. And there are so many people that, I'm going to say, like, educated, school educated, PhDs who understand race disparity, equality, economics. You know, then you have like the Dr. Claude Andersons of the world who's done this his whole life. You have, I mean, I could go on and on. Cardi B don't get to talk about voting. She don't get to say nothing. She don't get to talk about the jab. Nicki Minaj, I don't want to hear you talk about it, because I know you probably don't have the background. Like, even some subjects that we talk about backstage, we make sure we have some footing. We make sure we set boundaries. We make sure that we can speak intelligently on the subject before we just start running our mouths. And I know the celebrities aren't doing that, or they've gotten paid enough and nobody cares. So don't go to them for advice. Don't go to them for news. Don't go to them for knowledge. And I ain't trying to hate. I'm just saying, when it comes to something that's super important that they don't have training or background in, or they haven't taken a class or sat through a seminar or, something, then I'm not listening to them, and y'all shouldn't either. Like, we got to stop that. We got to stop it.
I agree with you, ladies, 100%. And just going back to Faye's point, Faye, I'm glad that you brought up Kyrie. If you guys saw the broadcast, I think it was last week, I felt very strongly about the Kyrie Irving situation. And I was up like early this morning thinking about it. And I was just like, wow, what if the NBA in totality like protested, right? Like, to stand with their brother, because I don't know what percentage of the NBA is Black, but a large percentage, right, are Black men. So it's like, even if they agreed with the jab or didn't agree with the jab, that's not what it's about. It's not about that. It's about you standing with your brother and saying he has the right to choose, and I respect his right to choose. That's the sacrifice I'm talking about. That's the power that we could have if we just stood with each other. And it goes back to that respect too, that respect thing too, right? Like, I respect your choice. I respect your decisions. And, I want you to respect mine. So I was just thinking about that, like early this morning, like, wow, like, what if they all stood with Kyrie? Like, that would have been so dope. And that would have showed the world, the system, like, oh, we're not playing, right? And I had someone hit me up in my DM, because I speak strongly about these things on my personal page. And someone DM'd me, and he said, he just needs to get back to basketball. Like, he tried to make a statement and it didn't work. So just get it and move on with your life. And I'm just like, it's not about that. And he said, well, he needs to feed his family. I said, well, you don't think that making however many millions a year that he can't feed his family, like walk away from this job and feed his family? But I had to tell him, like, it's not about that. It's about his right. It's about his freedom. And Kyrie chose freedom, right? He said, there's not a price tag on my freedom. You can't buy me. So I just respect Kyrie so much for what he's doing. And Faye, like you said, you have then Stephen A. Smith on the other side, and Shaq as well on the other side, saying, oh, he just needs to do that. Why can't we stand with our brother? Like, why can't we stand with each other when we make these bold moves, when we make these statements in regards to freedom?
Well,
what, I want to piggyback on that really quick. I see some comments. Lene, I'm sorry. Let me say this real quick. I see some comments talking about it was a state mandate. I even saw a comment about, they said it was a New York state mandate, and then when you were talking about Cardi B got people to vote. So in the state mandate, yeah, I got it. But as Keisha said, if all of the NBA would have said, no, we ain't doing that, the law would have changed. The mandate would have changed. And it goes back to the original question. Do we have the power? Yes. There is power in numbers. If everyone said, I'm not playing today until you change this mandate, they would have changed it. You have the power. You have the power 100%. And the voting with Cardi B, I get it. But then what? So she got a whole bunch of people to vote. But then what happened?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the issue.
So
the power here is real. Southwest Airlines just did it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying it's first of all, let me reset the room, because we're 30 minutes in. Let's reset the room. Hello. This is the Melanated Air Hour. If you're just tuning in or you're just seeing us for the first time, we are the Melanated Air Hour. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:00. We take time to look at the world from a melanated lens, and we talk about it. I am Lene Javette. I do this with Keisha at We Inspire Brand, Faye Bishop at Miss Faye Bishop, Teddy at the Real Teddy Talks. Madam President, who was just here a minute ago, will be back. And we just do this. We come together. Most of us are, I think all of us are entrepreneurs, and we look at life in the world from a melanated perspective, a lot of times from an entrepreneur or business perspective. Today, we're looking at power, right? The question that's being asked is, does the Black community have as much power as the LGBTQ community? Why or why not? And that is what we are looking at. That's what the conversation is about today. So we thank you for being here with us. Give us a thumbs up, a like, a share. Dial in into the comment section. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you're thinking about this conversation. I wanted to say, piggyback on something that Keisha had said a minute ago, but I'm 45 and the way my mind works, I lost the thought. But I think it had something to do with making a decision on whether or not to feed your family over standing up. And what we have seen historically is whenever you choose freedom, people think that you're crazy. Whenever you walk away from $40 million, like Dave did previous, or $50 million, they call you crazy. Whenever you go against mainstream media, you take a knee like Colin Kaepernick. You don't want to get the job like Kyrie Irving. Mainstream media and or mainstream and or Big Brother and or the powers that be, the people that pay the paychecks and or corporate America, doesn't matter who it is. Anytime you go against that grain, you are crazy, you are censored, they want to cancel you. It's to the point that we cannot think and speak for ourselves. We talk about freedom, we talk about freedom of speech, we talk about liberties only until it goes against or infringes on what somebody else's are or is. Then it becomes an issue. To your point, it would have been nice if the NBA had stood up for Kyrie Irving, but they don't. I don't think that they needed to. We needed to. His community needed to. The people who paid for the NBA to exist needed to. A lot of times we're looking to these celebrities or these entertainers or these what we consider higher echelon individuals to make moves and stand up for things that we can do on our level because we go up to the movies and buy movie tickets that pay their wages. We go to the NBA games and pay for their wages. We go to the voting post polls. Like we have way more power than what we think we do that we do not use. So the question is, does the Black community have as much power as the LGBTQ community? Hell yes, we do, if not more. We don't exercise it properly. We don't exercise our rights properly. We don't exercise our community properly. We don't come together properly. We don't show up properly. Those are things that are on us because we have the capability to flex in every area. In our businesses, we have the funding, the money to support our Black-owned businesses, and we don't. We have the ability to support Black men, Black women, Black children, education, and we don't. Like, we have these powers. So I forget who the comment was a while back. This is, what are we going to do about it? Like, what are we going to do about it? Because we have the capability and the power and the means to make a difference. The bootlickers don't have to do it. We can knock them out. The people who got to be left to the side, we can knock them out. There's enough of us. There's enough of us that can make these moves if we come together and figure out what community is to move forward and actually create a movement.
I just want to piggyback off of what you're saying, Lene, because everything you said is correct. And it kind of goes to something, I forget who it was, a comment someone made just a few moments ago who said, get together and vote for what? Regardless of whether you're going behind a curtain to pull a lever or punch a card or push a button, you are always taking a vote. You take a vote about what you stick in your mouth. You take a vote in your household about what kind of day you're going to have or what kind of year you're going to have, how you're going to spend your weekend together as a family. You take a vote when you're in your place of employment about what kind of treatment you're going to receive. Everybody takes a vote on something every day. I really need for everybody to stop thinking that when it comes to leveraging power, it only pertains to whether or not you're Democrat or Republican or something, relating to politics. You have power to leverage every single day, from the day you wake up and get out of bed to the day you lay your head down on your pillow at night. You vote for everything you engage in. You don't have to be on social media. You can vote to delete your page. There's many ways that we can leverage our power. It's just that we lack the ability to properly compartmentalize our feelings as it relates to certain types of issues. And therein lies the problem. Most people feel like, and I'm glad Lene brought up this point earlier, in order for us to take a stand against something, we need to know who, what, when, where, how much money is being spent, why they doing this, and how it benefits us personally or certain individuals personally, instead of how it benefits us as a collective group. And I think that that's something that we need to consider. But I really, really wish that we would get out of habit of thinking that where it pertains to how we vote, our power basically is only leveraged based upon how we vote, is what I mean, for whatever political party. We vote every single day to engage in whatever it is we're going to do. Southwest Airlines, as I was trying to say earlier, is a shining example where a group of people, regardless of race, decided that they were going to take a vote and leverage their power and walk out against that mandate in place. And what happened? The CEO overturned that mandate. My brother told me last night in a conversation that since September 5th, the company he works for has lost over 158 employees over that mandate. And guess what? The CEO and the board of directors and everybody is having a meeting tomorrow to make a decision about how they're going to overturn that. There is power in numbers. I am so glad that Teddy pointed that out. It is. You vote every single day for how you're going to be treated by whomever, wherever, whenever. And I don't want any of us to ever forget that.
And I think you mentioned behind the scenes that they're not talking about this, right? They're not talking about all of the people that are walking out from their jobs because of this mandate. And that's the issue, right? We look to media to say, oh, this is what's going on in the world, but we have to expand, right? We have to broaden this. What the media is showing us, the media is propaganda, right? They're always going to show us what they want to be out there, not the truth.
That's a fact. More than 4.3 million people have walked off their jobs since August of this year over these mandates. But they want us to zoom in on the 70 plus employees, I guess, who walked out from Netflix over Dave Chappelle's stand-up. You know, they want us to pay attention to the latter in hopes that we will forget about the former, whereas the former has a bigger impact on us as a collective than who's working for Netflix. I mean, and that's not to say that that isn't important too, but the fact that they have decided that that's a bigger or more important issue and we're just following right along because, you know, whatever our emotions are lead us, which is typically misled by mainstream media, we tend to follow versus looking at the fact that there are so many companies right now where you have people quitting or they're waiving their power with these mandates to get people in check and to get people to comply with these mandates. And that to me is actually a bigger issue because I feel like it affects the Black community more than anybody else when you consider where we stand in terms of employment and our own personal communities and economies and our households. Because again, without a community, without a labor workforce, the economy can't move. There's nothing to move. But Dave Chappelle was trending today, but nobody wants to have an honest conversation about the other stuff because mainstream media has led us, and this is no disrespect to Dave Chappelle, again, it's important, but has led us to focus in on that celebrity. Dave Chappelle's a millionaire. He and his family are going to be fine regardless of whether or not the employees decide to go back to work tomorrow or they continue to protest the day after that, the month after that, and going forward. But where does that leave us as a collective with these other corporations, the millions, thousands to millions of families that are walking off the job right now over what they feel is a fight for their freedom, just the simple right to work?
Boom. Somebody put in the comments, which we're using the word vote. And let me apologize. Some of you guys already know this. I got Invisalign, so sometimes I'm stumbling over my words because these teeth, I keep calling them teeth. They're like socks for your teeth, and they grip them. So sometimes I feel like I have a lisp. So I apologize. But um, dang it, there I go again, losing my thought. What was I about to say?
It was
What
about
was
a
I saying?
comment that you saw.
Oh, yeah, there was a comment on voting versus choice. We're using the word voice, and somebody said we really should be saying choice. And they are kind of sort of synonymous, right? To piggyback on what Faye was saying about voting, we get the opportunity to vote every day. In that vote comes through in the choices that we make, right? We get the opportunity to vote in our job whether or not we want to get the jab. That's a choice that we get to make. Do we want to have a job? Do we want to take care of our family? Do we want to have the freedom to choose? We get the opportunity to vote on where we're going to go have lunch. Do we want to go and support a black owned business today, or do we just want to go through McDonald's? You know what I'm saying? We get the choice. Do we want to call the black plumber today and vote for black owned businesses? Or like we get choices and voting opportunities every single day. What I would like for us to do as a community, for those of us that are actually moving forward, is be intentional. Like that, to me, a lot of these conversations relative to this topic is intentionality, right? Being intentional about who we support. We should have supported Monique better than she was supported. Being intentional about who you support, when you support, why you support, and how you support. Being intentional about where you spend your money and who you spend it with. Being intentional about the movies that you watch, the dollars that you put into certain movie budgets and the ones you don't. Being intentional about not letting your social activism fizzle out because the next thing has come, or because the words came out of somebody else's mouth or a celebrity's mouth and you know you disagree. Say you disagree. We have to be very intentional about these voting opportunities and choices that we get every day. We can't just go along to get along. We can't just go with what the mainstream says, because we wonder why we keep seeing these generational curses produce themselves, and it's because we keep producing the same generational curses. Like if we don't start showing these next generation how to do things differently, our children's children will be having these same conversations many years later. Like the time is now. The on us is on us today, right now, to start making choices and decisions and voting. And again, we're using voting and choices from an everyday perspective. We have that power today, right now. The internet, connectivity, email, All Black National Convention, telephone, text messages. We are more connected than ever in history. We can unite, we can organize, we can commune, we can share, we can collaborate, we can create community, and that's what we need to be doing. I'm going to go around the room and get some final thoughts before we close out. We'll start with you, Madam President. You've been kind of quiet today.
I know. Been
take us
having a
out.
little, can you hear me? I know.
Yes.
I've been having a little bit of technical difficulties. You know, Big Brother don't like when a black woman's talking that power. No, I'm kidding, but I've had a little bit technical difficulties. And I just want to say that, you know, it's time to be intentional about stop being a dumbass, you know, stop being stupid. You know, it's time to just be flat out, just intelligent about where I am in my life, what I want for myself, where I'm headed, and how the hell do I get there? How do I remove as many distractions as possible? How do I keep myself out of environments that's not going to be conducive to the life that I want to live? How do I meet somebody and not Netflix and chill? How do I meet somebody and have something of substance with? You know, how do I meet like-minded people? Can we stop with the nonsense? And I think it goes back to what Lene and Faye and everybody is saying about, you know, you can be as attached as you want to social media. You can be as attached as you want to all the things that you like. When those cops at your door gunning you down because you're sleeping with a guy, all we gonna do is RIP and talk about it. You know, the harsh reality is until we get some real power, or until we start walking in our power, then, you know, we're going to be at these vulnerable situations all the time. I noticed that when Breonna Taylor was killed, Beyonce, she wrote a letter. Now, I believe a letter from Beyonce, because I've been to college and graduated, and I used to have the president of the school write me a letter when I wanted to do something in the summer or something like that. Beyonce got 100 million followers. She's a multi-millionaire, billionaire, slashy probably with her husband. So my thing is, when a multi-billionaire writes a letter on your behalf of the life and nothing can be done, the men that killed you can't be arrested. It goes to show you that we talking with a group of people that have all the spending power in the world. But when are we going to get some real political power? When are we going to get some real power when it comes to building in this world that we're living in? So I just want to say my last remarks is, everything that we desire from the unity. And if you don't want the poke because you're woke and all of that, I think the conversation has to start. What are we going to do? What are we going to be able to go? What are we going to be able to do if we don't want to do this? I think that's the right path for those who are not interested in that, because this world is turning right now, and I just want us to just kind of be progressive, no matter what side we on, is be one. And I will see y'all next weekend at the All Black National Convention. Y'all make sure y'all come check me out. Come check out the Freedom Company. We gonna be there live and in the flesh. And I'm gonna pass the mic to Faye.
You're on mute, Faye.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. So all I have to say is this, and I see some of the comments being made about whether or not I got the poke, who got the poke. That isn't the point of this discussion. The point of this discussion, as it pertains to our community and just human rights issues, which is what Black people fight for. We're fighting for human rights. What I was saying when I spoke about the poke and I spoke about Southwest Airlines points to about it being leveraging your power the right way and everybody sharing the same type of group consciousness to achieve a common goal. This isn't about who got what. It's what about we all got. When you come together, again, with one common goal and one common objective, it's about achieving it. And that's all this is all about. Whether we're talking about the NBA and Kyrie Irving being able to play, Colin Kaepernick being able to play, Black people being able to have good content on Netflix, and us being able to get up and go to work every day to feed our families. That's all it's about. And I feel that if everyone would just use their emotional intelligence, maybe there wouldn't be any more names to add to this list of people we're discussing. That's all. A lot of the inequity that we have in the world, in the community, has to do with our low EQ. EQ meaning emotional quality. I'm sorry. Emotional intelligence, actually. EI, emotional intelligence. I feel like people who only revel in fear and self-preservation to an extreme, who aren't able to empathize and understand each other, are only motivated to think of themselves because they think they're worrying about what's going to protect them, when in fact, this does not help to move us to break the system down. So again, I think that that's what we all need to walk away from this conversation with. How are we going to get together to leverage our power? We have to get rid of some people, and we have to make a decision to stop following certain trends. And more than that, we have to get our emotions in check. We really, really do.
Exactly. I'll just show my part and say, we have so much power. Our minds are power, our bodies are powerful, and our financial spending is so powerful. We spend more outside of ourselves, our households, and our community than any other ethnicity. So we need to use that to our advantage and stop feeling powerless. A lot of the people who feel like, well, we can't do that, we can't. Yes, you can. We just have to be collective. We got to be a fist and not fingers, as Keisha says a few times. We have to move together and we can make anything happen. And don't ever doubt that. Together, you can make anything happen. That's it. That's all I got.
Yes, and I'm just going to add to what you beautiful ladies said about being with like-minded people, group consciousness, moving together, and that doesn't mean that you agree on every single issue. But what it does mean is that you are on one accord, and as the lady said, you are intentional about where you are going. We have that goal. If the goal is freedom, if the goal is equality, if the goal is justice, if it's everything, whatever it is, we come together, we are collective, and we move toward that. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I can't support you because you got this, and I can't, and you can't support me because it's not about that. It's about coming together, respecting each other, going back to that respecting each other, and moving toward that common goal that we have as a collective.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all been said. It has all been said. Um, I think that we have to do a better job. I mean, literally, it boils down to we have to do a better job, and we have to do a better job as a community. I wholeheartedly support and agree with what each one of you said, so I'm not going to do a prolonged outro other than we need to do better. We need to do better on so many levels. We need to speak when we walk down the street. We need to say, hey brother, hey sister. We need to acknowledge each other just in our everyday lives. Like what we're talking about on this live right now is huge, but there are teeny tiny little everyday idiosyncrasies that you can do to help build community. Something as simple as making eye contact and saying hi. Like we can just can we start there? Supporting. I saw a comment that said supporting Black-owned business is going to create wealth. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know it's not? Do you support Black-owned businesses? Are you intentional with your money? Are you intentional with where you go and who you talk to and how you speak to people? Why are we? Why? And I'm only gonna. I'm not gonna say why are we. I'm only gonna specifically speak to that individual in that comment. Why are you so quick to downplay or punch down, to use Dave's words, our community, our progress, our opportunities? You don't know. You know why you don't know? Because we don't give each other an honest try. We don't give each other an honest benefit of the doubt. And I think that that's where we start. Give each other the benefit of the doubt. Say hi, say hello, support, show up, back up, all of that. Okay. Do we have the power? We do. And we need to act like we do. And we need to show it. And we need to walk in it. And we need to believe it. Okay. Now, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and close us out for the day. This is the Melanated Air Hour. We do this for 1 hour every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock. I know today is Thursday because Faye is here. I was about to say I'll see y'all at Thursday, but today is Thursday because Faye is here. So if this is your first time checking us out, go back and watch some of our other episodes. They are powerful. They are impactful. If this is your first time watching and you liked what we spoke about, come back and see us again next week. We are all individuals. Everybody has their own business. Everybody has their own platform. Some of us are coaches, mentors, speakers, authors. Go check us out and support us individually. You can find me on social media at I am Lene Jovette. You can find Keisha at We Inspire Brand, no S. You can find Teddy Ewing at The Real Teddy Talks with an S. Madam President is at one Madam President with the number one. I'm sorry, with the Z. Madam President with the Z. And you can find Miss Faye Bishop at Miss Faye Bishop. Please go like and support and follow and encourage each one of the ladies that you see up here. We do this because we love Black people. We do this because we want to add to the conversation about what's happening in our community. And if that's you, and that's how you roll, keep coming back, support, love, like, share, and we will see you guys next week on Tuesday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern, same time, same place.
Real quick, and make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Melanated Air, and subscribe. So YouTube
and take action after this broadcast. That's how you stop. It's. I saw someone speak about us having an aspirational conversation that doesn't happen in the real world. In order for things to happen in the real world, you have to take action, and it starts now.
Yes.
All right, love you.